This is a Big Facts Network exclusive.
Yo, what's going on, homies? I'm gonna make this a combo episode. It's Big Homie's house, of course. Big Homie Kodak. We in the building. 96.1, the JoJo and Big Homie show. We got a special guest in the building, Miss Michaela, Kayla, baby, tearing up the internet. How you doing?
I am fabulous. How are you?
I'm doing sensational, doing amazing. So, of course, you a part of every political talk conversation right now. There's a lot going on with you. But like I said before the cameras got rolling, I think the world needs to start with just who you are as a person. So you are not from Atlanta.
No.
Not from Atlanta. You're from Vegas.
Yes.
Vegas. Oh, where does Oakland come into your...
I was born in Oakland, California.
Wiz?
Yes, big Wiz. But I moved when I was 6. So even though I would go back and forth to visit family and all that, I still got to tell people I'm from Vegas. Because Cali people will check me. And no, I did not go to high school out there. So.
Yeah, for sure. So you from Vegas, went to Clark Atlanta University.
The illustrious.
The biggest. Yes. The biggest Clark Atlanta University. So what else comes with you that people really don't know about?
I just live for service, and whether that be, when I was working in restaurants, whether that be the work I do politically, whether that be the work that I don't even tell anybody about. I really like helping people.
Yeah.
Hearing the saying, be the change you want to see in the world, like I really took that to heart.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate, I've basically branded myself and appreciate having the ability to be the friend that I've needed in every stage of life.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And again, Clark Atlanta University. What brought you to a HBCU?
So growing up, I was the only black kid in a lot of my classes. And so it was 9th grade, actually, we were developing our 10-year plan, for high school and beyond. And I originally wanted to go to Stanford. And my teacher was like, because, I've always been like super blackety black. Hey, where are my black friends? Where are the black people? Woo-hoo. Yeah. So he was like, have you ever heard of an HBCU? And I was like, no, what's that? He was like, I think you would like that.
Yeah.
So I go and I get on the Googles. And I see that at HBCU is a school with all black people. And I was like, wait, I'm not going to have to look for black friends. They'll just be there.
Yeah.
I'm going.
Yeah.
So I looked for the HBCU equivalent. And, of course, the number one was Spelman. So originally, that's where I wanted to go. I applied. I did get in. But that $40,000 ticket was right behind it. And my mom said, I don't know how you going to do that.
Yeah.
So I ended up across the street at the illustrious Clark Atlanta University.
Yeah. The biggest.
The biggest.
Yeah.
The biggest.
Okay.
So, that's how I ended up at Clark. And then after coming to Atlanta, I just never left.
Yeah, that's the story. We bring a lot of people here. There's a lot of people, a lot of transplants in this here ATL. So let's start things from the beginning. How did your affiliation with the Trump campaign even start?
That is great. So, well, no, it actually dates all the way back to high school. I got to tell you the whole story so that y'all will get it.
We're here for it.
All right. So, basically, like I said, I was the only black person in a lot of my classes growing up until my senior year of high school, and I'm in government class, and there's another black guy, right?
Yeah.
Now, we were big Obama fans in my house. We were so excited, woo, Obama, first black president. So I had never met a black person who did not favor Obama until I came across this young man. And every day, he would have something new for me.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, what do you mean you don't like Obama? Like, how could you be like this? How could you ever have something bad to say? And so, but me, I was also in debate all through high school. So when you gave me information that I didn't necessarily agree with, I wouldn't get all emotional and stuff. I'd be like, okay, but explain that. Stand on that. Claim, warrant, impact. Tell me where each of these fall. And so him and I would have these debates every morning. And that's how we just developed a really cool friendship. So he ended up going to UGA. I ended up going to Clark.
Go Dogs.
So somebody, one of our mutual friends who was in band and debate, because he was in band, I was in debate, had hit him up and was like, do you ever see Kayla? Because she's in Georgia. And he was like, no. And so she, gave him my number. And he was like, I'm looking for Michaelah. And I was like, well, what's up, Mac? And so we connected. So he was like, you should come with my family and I to Hilton Head. We're just going to go have some fun.
And what year is this?
This is like 2017.
Got you.
And so I was like, sure, let's go. So I go to Hilton Head. It was fun. And I meet his grandmother. His grandmother is this woman named Vivian Childs. And so before I wanted to be an attorney, but after taking that government class, I was like, politics, I think that's where I need to be. So I had let him know, I said, bump that attorney mess, man. I'm finna be in politics. I could defend the law all I want, but if I make the law, they gotta listen to me.
Yeah.
So that was my thing. So he introduced me to his grandmother, and his grandmother is actually this OG in politics out here in Atlanta. So, you know, she knows all kinds of senators and board members and movers and shakers in the party. So I had told her that I wanted to get into politics, so she had invited me to her Power Women's event. And when I go to this event, I'm meeting like the president of Howard, and I'm meeting like dentists and the owners of these shopping plazas and stuff, like some really rich people. And I was like, well, golly, what am I doing in here?
Yeah.
And how can I get friends to be friends with more of y'all? And after that event, she invited me to the chairman's dinner, which is a dinner held every year. And the governor is there, you know, lieutenant governor is usually there, a bunch of senators, Congress members, and, you know, other consultants, lobbyists, everybody, you know, is there. So
the people with power.
Yeah. So but this was mostly Republicans, like 99% Republicans. It's very rare that you'll go to a chairman's dinner and the governor's Republican and the room isn't full of Republicans. But this one was special because she had let me know that all the black Republicans were going to be there. And I mean, I hadn't really seen too much of that yet.
Yeah.
So I go to this chairman's dinner. This is October of 17. So Nathan Deal is still our governor.
Yeah.
And I walk in and I just see all these beautiful black people in suits and dresses, and hair is laid, and the bags and the brooches and like the little link bracelets, just wealth. It just smelled like money. And I was like, wow, this is the Atlanta that they were telling me about. Like, this is amazing. And so I was like, I love this. And as I'm just in awe of all this beautiful, because like, let me pause for a second. I had never had a black teacher until I moved out here. I never saw a black business owner until I moved out here.
You know, that's so crazy because my experience is the complete opposite because I'm from Atlanta. So, you know, you came to Atlanta. You saw how black Atlanta was. I never left because I went to high school here and I went to Clark Atlanta University. And I'm thinking everybody else, their experience as being black is like mine.
I never had a black doctor, a black dentist. I never saw none of that. I never saw a black politician until I came here.
Let me trip you out. I've never seen a white mayor.
Oh, that's all I had my whole life.
I've never seen a
Shout out Clark County. Shout out Las Vegas.
As soon as I started being old enough to understand politics, the first mayor that I remember, like, okay, this is our mayor, was Shirley Franklin. That was the mayor I remember. Kasim Reed held it down. And then we had Keisha Lance Bottoms. And now we have another black mayor as well, Andre Dickens. So I've never seen a white mayor. So hearing these stories about like, yeah, you know, outside of here, it's not like that.
I've never seen that. So as I'm in awe of just all these black professionals, like these people that I want to be like, I'm just, this young woman just comes out the crowd and walks up to me and just goes, hi. And I was like, hello. And she was like, what's your name? And I was like, I'm Michaela. And she was like, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh, I'm a guest with Miss Vivian. She was like, well, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I'm a student. And she was like, oh, well, are you Republican? And I was like, I mean, I kind of see both sides. I'm just here to see, you know, what's up. And she was like, oh, well, you know, we have some internships available, but, you know, we would like for you to be a Republican. So I was like, I mean, I'll hear you out.
Yeah.
So she goes, I'm having an event on Thursday. The dinner was on a Monday. She was like, just come check it out. No pressure. And if you like it, then maybe we can talk about your future. And I was like, okay. This woman was Janelle Jones at the time. She is now known as Janelle King. She sits on the Board of Elections. She was on the Board of Corrections. Her husband is Kelvin King, who ran for Senate. He was going to be on the same ticket as Herschel Walker. So Herschel Walker ended up taking the nomination. But long story short, she's really big in politics as well. She was a data director for the GAGOP at the time. So I go to her event. And this was more for black people. So, you know, we at the club, I'm hearing music, there's drinks. I'm like, oh, this is nice. And this is all in the name of tax reform. Like, they're all talking about tax reform, but they're having a great time. So I was like, oh, I could get used to this. And so she was like, so you like it? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, okay, well, you know, I would like to mentor you. We have some internships available. Let me know if you want me to set up the interview. And as you know, at Clark, you need an internship to graduate.
Absolutely.
So I was like, let's make America great again.
So
the
you
next
had
week, I had my interview and I was interning with the GAGOP. So January of 2018 up until May of 2019.
Yeah.
I was with the GAGOP.
So running into him at the Chick-fil-A wasn't like your first time.
No, so he probably didn't know that I knew, which is why he said I didn't know I didn't know he was coming. But somebody called my homegirl and was like, "Hey, Trump is coming into town. He's gonna be by the AUC. Do you know anybody that might want to go? Any students that might want to go?" And she was like, my homegirl would.
Yeah.
So she calls me and she's like, "Hey, do you want to meet Trump tomorrow?" And I'm thinking like we're gonna go see him speak somewhere. So I'm like, I mean, sure, I'll go, but like, are we gonna be outside? Because I'm not in the mood for that. Da, da, da. And she was like, "No, this is like a meet and greet. We're gonna be inside." Da, da, da. And I was like,
and is that the Chick-fil-A?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know it was at Chick-fil-A till the next morning.
Yeah.
So we was actually about to go.
For sure.
But she was like, no, it's at some restaurant or whatever. It's gonna be a meet and greet. Like we're all gonna sit at the table and actually meet. And I said, "What?"
Yeah.
"Yes, I'm gonna go." And she was like, "Do you think any of your students would want to go?" And I was like, yeah. So I go into my group chat. I have about 250 AUC students in my group chat.
Okay.
I bring jobs back to the AUC. So they're all in there because
that's what's needed.
I'm like, "Hey, who can work today?" or "Who can work this weekend?" And they're like, "Oh, Kayla, me." So I'm like, "Hey, any of y'all want to meet Trump?" And they were like, "The Donald Trump?" And I was like, "Yep, Big T, the one."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Yeah." So they all met up at the library the next day. Because I'm thinking that I'm going to have to, put them in cars and drive them somewhere.
No, it was right down the street.
And they're like, "No, we at Chick-fil-A." So these little kids walked to the Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
You feel me? And then they sat there and then we waited. And when the motorcade came by, it was about maybe 12, 15 AUC people. And then you had 3 young people who had just walked in there. You had 3 construction workers who had just walked in there for lunch. You had, of course, all the employees there. And then it was like 3 older guys who I also think knew he was going to be there.
Yeah.
But, they were all, the motorcade came and everybody got super excited. Then he walked in and everybody swarmed this man.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Yo, Trump, make America great," da 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 da, like trying to get their pictures. They was getting autographs. So like, it really sucked that afterwards the media acted like that was the reaction they got after he bought chicken and milkshakes. Like, folks were legit excited and rushing to the front door before he ever walked in there.
So the Chick-fil-A was extra.
Yes, that was literally a bonus. Like, people went there because they wanted to meet President Trump.
So you Chick-fil-A bae.
I guess so. Sure. What my sponsorship deal is.
Hey, you know. Okay, for sure. Now, politically, what are some things that are important to you? I did a little bit of research on you, so you can expound on this. Criminal justice reform.
Yes.
Restoration of felon rights.
Yes.
Marijuana legislation.
Yep.
And HBCU funding, of course. So what else, if I missed anything, are high up on your ballot?
Families. I think we need more support for families, whether that be single mothers, single fathers, or just families trying to make it. More resources made available so that, we don't see so many instances in which a man feels emasculated because he can't provide for his family. And more resources to where women don't feel like they have to choose between their career or having a child. So just, promoting family more. Additionally, education. I think it's really sad that just looking here in Atlanta, 92% of APS students cannot read at grade level.
Yeah.
When you look nationally, 50% of adults, Black, white, Latino, Asian, whatever, cannot read above an 8th grade reading level.
Yeah.
So clearly there's something wrong with the Department of Education and the way we're going about things.
Yeah.
Additionally, I also, look at taxes, because now that I'm a working person, a business owner, I do look at, okay, I know people who just have kids instead of getting jobs.
Yeah.
And so to know that that's where a lot of this big chunk of money that's coming out of my check, to know where that's going, and I'm working my butt off to provide for my kid, and you just decide to keep having kids.
Yeah.
I can't go for that.
So you don't think taxes should go to families that need it?
No, it's not that I don't think taxes should go to families that need it. I think we need reform of the programs in which tax dollars are allocated to help families. For instance, Section 8. Section 8 is a great leg up for some families, right? Section 8 should not be able to be passed down to your kids and they pass it down to their kids.
For sure.
That promotes you staying exactly where you are, because the deterrent is if you make too much, you're going to have to pay this high-ass rent that everybody else is paying.
Yeah.
So you need to stay below this level. You need to stay in poverty. You need to not advance so that you can live easy.
Well, I don't think people choose to be impoverished, though.
Not everybody chooses it, but you and I both know there are a great deal of folks who do. And I think that reform is needed because there are too many families who need these resources but can't get them because they make too much or because certain demographics in the household don't allow it, whatever. But you have people who are openly taking advantage of said system. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you. There may be, I can't even say maybe, there are people that abuse that system. But when we look at like percentages, I don't think that's a big enough percentage of us to say, okay, we about to stop these people.
It's 1,000% a big enough percentage. Again, if Section 8 can be passed down generationally, that's an issue. That's where I would start. Well, the wait list is 3 years long. Yeah. That's ridiculous. For people who just lost their job, they should be able to apply for Section 8 and get it for like 6 months until they're back on their feet. But instead, they have to get on this 3-year wait list because somebody's grandma got it in the 60s and passed it down to everybody else.
Yeah.
That's not cool. If we booted off the list everybody who was grandfathered in, imagine how many openings we would have for the families struggling right now.
I absolutely agree with you. If people are abusing the system, absolutely.
It shouldn't be some people,
but
passing it down is unacceptable.
But generational poverty exists, though. Can we agree on that?
You mean to tell me that if you watch your mom work 3 jobs and break her back, nothing in you, your whole life inspired you to do better than that so that you wouldn't qualify for Section 8?
You have to know that you can do better, though. For me,
in which case, that's where the reform comes
you have
from.
to know.
Because now we're bringing resources instead of crutches.
For sure, yeah. But if you don't know, you can't do better. So if you reference families back in the 60s, the grandma that, or probably before that, the grandma that was born into it, and that family is still in situations socially and economically that aren't helping them, then it's kind of like, okay, your granny was poor, your mama was poor, you poor, your kids poor.
So at what point do you think to yourself, oh, wow, I don't have to be poor?
How do you know you can't be like? How do you know you live in the dark?
I don't know one person that poor person that doesn't watch TV. I don't know one poor person that doesn't listen to rap music. I don't know one poor person that doesn't pay attention to sports.
Yeah.
Therefore, all poor people know that wealth is out there and wealth is attainable. I don't know one poor person that has never been to the doctor. I don't know one poor person.
Knowing wealth is out there isn't knowing wealth is attainable. Now, I have to disagree with you on that because
so you mean to tell me every person that is poor doesn't believe that they cannot be poor at some point in their life?
I didn't say every person, but I do know that there are people that are poor that don't know how to get themselves out of poverty.
And that's
because not only are you fighting against whatever your environmental and social issues are, you're fighting against inflation as well. So if you make more money this year than you did last year, congratulations. Now you have to deal with inflation. Mm-hmm. So the things that got people out of poverty maybe in 2008 aren't the same things that are going to get you out in 2024.
Absolutely not. But if you know that, why would you set yourself up to think that, okay, if my grandma was poor and my mom was poor, I have to be poor? Because the world is going to change no matter what. And there are people who come from poor families and decide that they don't want to live like their families did. I thought my generation was the one that prided themselves on breaking generational curses. So if you are not somebody who does that, I feel like, again, that would be a part of the welfare reform. Yeah. I don't think we should just go in and, of course, boot everybody off Section 8. We do need financial literacy programs. We do need credit repair programs. We need to inform people on credit and how it works. You don't have to have cash if your credit is good. Mm-hmm. We need child care facilities. We need to do more. We need to get back to community. You used to be able to drop your kid off at Big Mama house and go to work. Yeah. Big Mama not watching the kids no more because Big Mama is 42 herself and she in the club with you.
For sure.
So it's like there are a lot of things as well that helped our parents that we don't have. Yeah. Same thing like buying a house. Buying a house is the first step to securing wealth for future generations.
Well, that's out of the question for a lot of people.
A lot of us. So to say that, being poor is a mindset thing. Like you literally all you have to do is wake up one day and say, I want better for myself. And if you actively work to making your life better, whether that be eating better, whether that be reading better, whether that be using your time better, you will change your life within 6 months.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
If you were born in a dark room, mm-hmm. you lived in this dark room your entire life, would you know you were in a dark room? Like if somebody else said, damn, this room dark.
Yeah, it all depends on who's around you, your environment. But I can't
Everybody's in that dark room with you.
Everybody's in the dark room. Okay, so, and nobody has any clue as to what the outside looks like.
That's just the outside world. You're looking at that like a video game. We know, you can probably agree with this. People don't look at celebrities and influencers like real people.
Somebody in that room will think to themselves, what is this outside world that I hear of? Where are these trees?
Exactly.
Where is this sky? And they will say, oh, let's go ahead and figure out how we can get to that. And somebody's going to feel around for a door. And when that door opened and it let the light in, everybody's going to be like, wow. It starts with one person.
But you let that light in and like, damn, that shit is irritating because you've
Then
been
you
in this
leave them
dark
behind.
room.
You leave them behind.
Exactly.
Harriet Tubman shot some niggas and left them behind.
And that's exactly what is happening. It's not, we're not, like trickle-down economics isn't something that's actually working.
I never thought it did.
It's not something that's actually working. So we have to do a better job of helping the people that...
We got to do a better job at helping each other. You can give people all the help that you want. We have Section 8 right now.
Yeah.
That is a great help. But are we helping each other? You go to these Section 8 communities. Are they helping each other? Are they watching each other's kids? Are they feeding each other's kids?
For the most part, yes. I used to teach. I used to teach. So I was in the community that I was in was on the west side of Atlanta. It's right by Cascade. I'm sure you're familiar with that. So I've seen this. I've done it myself. And since I come from that, and I agree with you, because I was one of the people that had to open the door to see the light. I am doing something that nobody else, and my family's educated. Let me not say that. But I took a different route. Like, I'm doing media. I come from a family of educators. So I saw something different for myself that didn't really match the path that was laid out for me. I could be, if I had wanted to, I could have been a school principal by now. But I didn't want to do that. That's not what I wanted for myself. So as somebody who saw the light, I think there needs to be more pressure on the government to help bring that light to the masses. So it's not just one person touching that door.
The government's not going to do that.
Why can't they?
That's the thing.
Why can't they?
What you got to understand is, so as long as these programs exist and they set these parameters to help you survive, they are in control of you. They can control where you work. They can control where you live. They can control what you do.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as they take those parameters away and you can do everything for yourself, there is no longer a control aspect of it. There is no, we have all this super surveillance on this demographic of people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing I wish more people understood, is that when you allow yourself to fall into the system of, okay, here I am, it's supposed to be a stepping stone to help you get a way up.
Yeah.
It is never supposed to be a thing. It's never supposed to be a phase that you stay in.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody goes broke. I feel like everybody, if they haven't, should experience poverty for at least one time, because then we'd have more empathy in the world. But again, being impoverished, being broke should never be your way of life.
Mm-hmm.
And if we are saying that there are entire communities of people in which they just believe that this is their way of life, there is enough of us that know better. And therefore, it would be on us, not the government, to go into these communities and help people see it. Because even if the government created said programs or started funding certain resources, if people don't know they're available, then what are they being used? What are the funds even being used for?
Yeah.
So again, the government can do their part, but it's on us as a community to do ours and make sure that the information and regarding these resources is made readily available, that we have people ready to help folks sign up, that we have people ready to help folks walk through the process, and that the people handling whatever resource it is actually pick up the phone and answer emails.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So the government, again, can only do so much, but it's on us as a community to get back to being a community.
So I guess I do have a question for BIN, from BIN, the Black Information Network.
Mm-hmm.
Is in regards to the Trump appearance at NABJ. Do you think he was treated fairly on the NABJ stage in Chicago?
No. Because if Kamala Harris had walked in there, and let's say the roles were reversed, Trump didn't walk in, Kamala Harris did.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't open it up with, so looking back at your record as a prosecutor, and you locked up this many black men, and you kept, fined this many single mothers, and therefore caused this many evictions because, you messed up their paychecks and all of these other, they wouldn't do that to her.
Mm-hmm.
They would say, how does it feel to be the first black woman on the Democratic ticket, know? Instead of, and like Trump said, nobody said hello, nobody greeted him. Like, that was rude. Because if you go up to any black person, you're like, yeah, so why did you mess up that deal last week? You would be like, well, hello to you too.
Yeah.
That's a natural response.
Yeah.
So for people to act like he was, running from a question because he's like, I've never been asked something so terribly, he wasn't wrong for doing that. I think that they didn't necessarily allow him to answer questions. I think that the questions were set up in a way to make him look bad. And I think we hold rich white men to too high of a standard in regards to understanding regular black people problems.
Well, I mean, I think you should be at least empathetic to black people problems, because we are the one. I don't think
anything about his interview lacked empathy. I think the lack of empathy came from the interviewers and not the interviewee.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, as somebody who wants the black vote, you should be empathetic to black problems.
You guys have to inform him. That was their opportunity to sit down and inform him as to why they are offended by certain things he says. This is why this was their opportunity to ask questions about why did you say this, or why did you pass that, or why did you. This was their opportunity to talk policy and get clarification. And they did not use any of their 1 hour to do that. They failed the people that they were supposed to be serving. They did a disservice to their target audience because at no point in time did they discuss policy, did they discuss what the future looks like if he was to be president. It was all racist remark this, DEI that, and it's like, what does that have to do with what we're voting for in November?
Well, the racist remarks do play a role. DEI does play a role because when we talk about policies that he's suggested, particularly the one that stood out the most to me was the immunity for the police officers. I think that is sometimes we are voting for one person, but also voting against another person. Because as a black person, as a black guy specifically, that impacts me. You can't. And also, let me backtrack as well. Are you familiar with the name Jamarian Robinson? Jamarian Robinson, former Clark Atlanta graduate, student athlete, he was killed a few years ago by the police in Atlanta. He was a good friend of mine. We started spring workouts the same day in 2008. So since that was something that happened to me personally, that I feel very strongly about police having unchecked immunity. So
I am so glad you went ahead and opened the floor to have that conversation. Because in what world do you think the president would actually grant every police officer in the United States
scoot to the mic?
In what world do you genuinely believe that the president of the United States would grant police more power than what he has as a sitting president? Does it make sense?
I can only go.
Police would get full immunity.
I can only go off of what he said.
He said at the NABJ conference that you just asked me about that there would be an ethics council, that there would be some type of board to review every case in which immunity might not apply. So in cases in which your friend unfortunately passed away, in cases like Sonia Massey, which just happened, and even he said, I saw the clip and they were not doing their job. Those are not cases in which these people would receive full immunity. There would still have to be a case-by-case review. There would still have to be a board in which would have to grant this immunity. It's not a thing where every cop can just go out here and now we have lawless cops in an over-policed society. That's not what he's preaching here. And while I don't speak for the president, because no, I'm not paid by nobody on Team Trump. So don't take this as this is what the Trump campaign has put out, because this is just me. But
this is just Michaela.
This is just Michaela. But Michaela is telling y'all that y'all sound ridiculous believing that the president would grant police more power than what he doesn't even have full immunity, because y'all love bringing up that he's a felon. But then y'all will go ahead and also feed into, oh, no police will face any retribution for anything that they do, even though President Trump had to do so.
But we're going off what he said.
And what he said at the conference was there would be a board and that these would be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. So there's no such thing as allowing police to run around and do whatever they want. He clarified that out of his own mouth at the conference.
You know what that sounds like, though? That sounds like when these cases happen now and they do an internal review. And what happens when the internal what happens when the internal review? Did you do it? No, I didn't do it. All right. That's it. Because
that always happens in every single case? No.
More times than likely. Like we can
you say that. Do we have numbers to back that up, or is this an assumption that we're making and we're putting that out to the public?
No. It's not. No, it's not an assumption. It's not an assumption. But I'm saying more times than not, for the cases that make public media, like that go to that level, the internal reviews do not support. Like they don't support the end cause. That's all I'm saying. So if you can do an internal review and it'd be an unbiased third party, then
so what
maybe.
Makes you think that in regards to trying to pass this bill, that wouldn't be a part of the amendments or the
because why don't we have that now?
Why don't we have that now? That is a great question. So where was Obama when all of this stuff was happening and we asked for body cams? And we asked for revision of the police department. We asked for people to look over law enforcement. And you know what the Democratic Party told us to do? Defund the police. And next thing you know, all we heard was defund the police, defund the police, defund the police. And then if you look at cities like Oakland, where Kamala Harris served as DA, they have successfully defunded the police. And all you see now is a city riddled with crime. You have In-N-Out, was ran out of Oakland because the employees were so scared of getting robbed going to and coming from work.
Yeah.
Because they know that police response isn't happening. They have no funding. People are killing each other. People are getting robbed. People are getting their cars stolen, homes broken into, all of these things based off defunding the police instead of figuring out a way to revamp the system. So now, while the wording might sound scary, the fact that the man said that there would be a board, right? What's to say that we don't make it so that board has to be elected by a committee that's already in Congress? What's to say that that board isn't, a board of appointees, but it has to be approved by, this subcommittee of people? Like, we're acting like there aren't processes of checks and balances when it goes to passing laws. There's no way Trump can come in and for day one pass an executive order that says all police are immune from anything. There's no way in any shape or form will that ever happen. So the public needs to understand that there is a process, and they should probably pay attention to their locally elected representatives to ensure that their locally elected representatives advocate for a fair process in regards to figuring out which police will receive immunity for what cases are brought forth to the board.
I 100% agree. But what I'm saying is the things that you're saying should be in place are not in place already. So
he hasn't been elected yet.
So no, let me.
There is no cabinet yet.
I cannot say that the process to review these cases will be unbiased because it's not unbiased now.
You also can't say that it won't be unbiased. So I don't understand why we wouldn't make sure that people understand that there is a possibility that this might be something that we could
because we have a track record of it not being unbiased.
We have a track record of it being unbiased, and that's why you would elect somebody who is telling you that they're going to do something different.
I disagree. But you just said you just said something else about the we were talking about policing, but you just said something else. I'm gonna go to my next one. It'll come to me later. But what other policies that do you want to highlight that Trump is pushing for his campaign that really showed themselves to you?
I would just focus on the fact that when he did not secure the reelection, there was a platinum plan on the table that he consulted with Ice Cube and a couple other prominent black business owners. I mentioned it in my speech, but of course the Shade Room didn't post that, so nobody knows about it. But that increases $500 billion of capital in the black community, brings back 500,000 jobs, gives incentives to big companies to hire felons, gives incentives to, of course, there's opportunity zones, which I mentioned, which gives incentives to developers to come and revamp the area. The fact that Trump just has a plan, period, for black people, and Kamala does not. Then not even just the fact that she doesn't have a plan for black people, which should be important to us since we are only supporting her because she's a black woman, but she doesn't have a plan at all. At least Trump can give you Agenda 47. Not Project 2025, but Agenda 47.
Got you.
You go on Kamala Harris's website, and there is no plan. So it's like you guys would rather vote for uncertainty and hope that she does right by y'all just because she's a black woman rather than vote for the man who has clearly laid out his plan for you.
I'm not going to say Kamala doesn't have a plan because...
Is it available on her website? Can I look it up right now?
Yeah, you can. I did it.
Okay. So
a few of the things: healthcare improvements, economic opportunities, education and workforce development.
And in the 4 years that she's been in office, has she hit on any of those things?
Well, she wasn't the president.
She was the vice president.
She was the vice president.
So this is literally a continuation of the presidency that we just saw.
I think it's more of an upgrade to the presidency that we just saw. Okay. Because honestly, I do feel better about the Democratic side now that Joe Biden is taking a back seat and we do have Kamala and Walz. But Kamala's plan for black people is laid out.
There isn't one.
I just told you.
No, she doesn't have a plan for black people.
So what is Trump's plan for black people?
I just told you it was the platinum plan. It's outlined.
Yeah, but the platinum plan that he pushed the first time, it didn't go through the first time, did it?
Because he didn't get reelected.
So, I mean,
he didn't get to put it in place. So before coming out, of course, we had the permanent HBCU funding. Of course, we had the opportunity zones. And of course, we had, increase in teacher pay, increase in military pay. And then we had the First Step Act, right? Those were all things he did during his administration. The First Step Act and freeing those 2,000 people and giving those pardons were his parting gift. So the platinum plan was what he ran on, hey, this is how I'm going to build on that. But he never got the chance to institute that.
So I'm just reading off my research here. Didn't the plan that he pushed in 2017 include budget cuts to HBCUs?
No.
So that's not true?
If you're going to revamp the funding, that's not budget cuts, no.
So what would you call it?
I would call it, again, a review, because if you have funds allocated to an HBCU and that HBCU outlines where that money goes, correct? And you've noticed over the years that the money is not going to these things. And you say, okay, you're going to have to deal with this budget. And then we will go ahead and figure out what it is that every school needs like that. And we will promise that you guys will have that for the next 100 years. Yeah. That is not a budget cut. That is an accountability thing. Because look at how you have your dorms with no AC. Spelman has a $100 million endowment. Why were those girls living with no AC and mold in their dorms? There's no excuse for that. So if you're getting $100 million and yet you have girls living with no AC and black mold, then yeah, maybe you don't need $100 million. Let's see what you do with $50
That's
million.
literally a budget cut.
What I'm saying is, how is that a budget cut if you're not using that money in the budget? Your actual budget, you were basically being overpaid. That's not a budget cut.
We know these HBCUs have always been underfunded.
Underfunded, or were their presidents misusing the funds? Because the president's house gets nicer every year. You've seen the president's house at Clark. It is now more modern than ever before.
I haven't seen the president's house in a while.
Go check out that house on the hill, baby. Bumstead's still closed though. Bumstead's still abandoned.
But they also built new dorms. They also have new student housing right next to the
You mean the apartments that are more expensive than the dorms currently on campus? I'm
not a student anymore. I don't know the prices, but I cannot say that they don't have new dorms. Do I think that you said Bumstead and where do they need to be remodeled, refurbished, renovated? Absolutely agree with that.
If the president's house can get that, then I don't see why those dorms can get that. And if we gave you $100 million to do that, and we come back and see that you didn't do that, and we say, okay, well, I guess you don't need this $100 million.
So because the $100 million didn't go immediately to one source,
how is that a budget cut?
It's because it's a budget cut. If you say, okay, you have $100 million, okay, you didn't use the $100 million how I wanted you to use it.
Not how I wanted you to use it, what you said you were going to use it for.
How do we know they didn't use it on other things that the school needed?
We see that. You see that. There's reports taken, and you tell us what you need beforehand. There's reports taken afterwards. Like, there's audits for everything. These schools are 501c3s.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's just like, again, if your students are making the news because they have pneumonia due to mold-related stuff that you got going on in your building, then yes, we are going to review the amount of money that was sent to you. And again, if the 2017 proposed plan said that we need to check and see where all these money goes, that's not a budget cut, because again, the plan that came right after that said we're going to make sure that these guys are never underfunded. This is how much money they need. This is how much money we're going to promise them. And then make sure you mention that as soon as the Biden-Harris administration came in, they cut that.
Yeah.
So that's all I got to say. That's all I got to say, because we were going to lead with, budget cuts this, but we didn't put out the fact that it was a proposed plan.
It was a proposed plan.
And it didn't happen.
But
and those, again, to me, though, that is audits. But we're talking about. I'm not taking away money from you that you made clear that was needed and necessary.
But we're talking about
upgrades to your house are not needed and necessary. So if I say I'm going to give that money to a different school, there's nothing wrong with it.
So you're saying they spent $100 million upgrading the president's house and didn't?
No. I'm not saying that. I just used $100 million as a figure.
Okay, yeah, okay. So what I'm saying is, if these HBCUs are already in the hole and you're giving them $100 million,
if they're already in the hole, then why do their presidents live so nice?
Do they?
I don't get it.
There's
upgrades to the house every year. The police, CAU police drive Chargers now. That's nuts, because kids are still getting robbed. I'm not getting it. Girls are still getting sexually assaulted and being told that since they didn't call the real police first, that they're not going to take a report. But at least the police officers on campus get to drive fancy cars.
But they also are driving the same cars from 2008 from when I went there. So if they get a new car to help their...
If they get a new car to continue to drive around on their phones and not help, just blindly, just not be in the place that they need to be when kids are getting robbed, to not be nowhere near when girls are screaming rape, to not be nowhere near when drunk girls are trying to get home, or saying that, since you are 0.5 miles outside of the perimeter, I can't come get you. No.
But these issues aren't specific to the AUC. It's not specific.
They're not specific to the AUC. They're specific to HBCUs, though. A lot of us have.
No, absolutely not. Georgia State and Georgia Tech goes through the same thing.
So maybe not specific to HBCUs, but specific to experiences that I know that I have had and that people around me have had. And therefore, if I know that money is coming into the school, and I know every year I have at least 15 students telling me that they can't come back because they owe too much money to the school. And I'm like, I know for a fact somebody just cut the school a check for $1 million. What do you mean they don't have $12,000?
So do you know for a fact the operating costs for these schools?
No.
So if you have $100 million, if you have, just using the number,
Okay.
$100 million coming in, but you have a $300 million deficit, that $100 million didn't really
you should
do
be
shit.
doing everything in your power to make sure that those kids have everything that they need to successfully matriculate through your university. Not everything that you need to live as comfortably as you want to. I understand that you worked hard to become the president of a university, but those students are working hard to achieve, hopefully, a goal similar to yours.
And
in which case, there is no reason why our presidents live so nice, our teachers are paid so well, yet our students suffer so much. No.
Again, these issues are not specific to HBCUs. You can
All right,
go to
tell
Georgia.
me how these issues, again, are something that the president himself can fix.
I didn't say the president can fix
All
that
right.
issue. I don't think that you can lean on the thing that Trump helped HBCUs when you just admitted that these things are budget cuts. However you want to word it, that was a budget cut.
A proposed plan with budget cuts. And what I told you, what those budget cuts actually were. And that plan, again, never was enacted. So stop acting like Trump cut the budget when it came to HBCUs.
No.
Because he didn't do that.
The plan that he proposed would be, yes.
But did not enact. So let's, because again, you're talking about, oh, well, he could have did this, but he didn't. So why don't we focus on what he did do? And that's give permanent funding to HBCUs. Let's talk about what he did do, which is give HBCUs a platform. Let's talk about what he did do, which is turn an eye towards HBCUs, which Clark benefited from in 2021 when they received a check from state Republicans for $3 million. Let's talk about what he did do for HBCUs and not a proposed plan that never went through and never will.
Thank God it didn't go through because, again, it would have led to less money,
Again, your
less funding.
presidents would have been held accountable for the fact that y'all shouldn't be suffering the way that y'all are. We can talk about something else.
Absolutely, I agree. I just wanted to get my point out on that statement. But I did have another question from BIN. How should he approach undecided voters in this election that say that they're not going to vote? And I'm pretty sure you hear some of your peers echo that sentiment. There's one particular thing I disagree with. I'm not really a fan of, hey, I'm going to do third party. That's not really productive to me. Third party?
I think it's important that the third party continues to grow in support. I think it's important that everybody feels like they have a space to be represented. I do. Yeah. I don't think only having two is fair. Now, I do think that having the third party does split the vote sometimes in a way that could be detrimental to deciding a winner right away. But I do think that we should keep four, because we have not just independents, but libertarians as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's important. And like you said, a lot of people aren't voting, but they're not voting because they think they only have two choices. So imagine if people knew they had four choices. Maybe more candidates would do more to make sure that they earned a vote. They would have more service to stand on when it came time to campaign if they didn't think that there was a 50-50 chance that they would win.
I agree with you, but you are speaking in the way that things should be.
They're not, but
yeah, exactly. So we know it's like that.
All parties got to acknowledge, though, like if 40,000 people go vote for the Libertarian, like both parties are going to acknowledge that 40,000 votes went to a Libertarian. Yeah, you know, if for instance Robert Kennedy is pretty popular, and while
very popular,
you know, he's not, I guess, viable for president right now because he doesn't qualify to have enough electoral votes. If he were to be able to qualify to have enough electoral votes, I think that Robert Kennedy could secure a couple million. He might secure 1 million on his own. Yeah. In which case, then Dems and Republicans have to pay attention to what he did and what he promised and what drew people to him. Yeah. So in regards to your question as to how can Trump, appeal to undecideds, again, I think he needs to stand on service. I think it needs to stop being don't vote for Kamala or don't vote for Trump. I need it to be this is what I can give you if I am elected your president. Not you just don't want them because they're dumb. I think he can stand on the differences between what the economy was, between his administration and theirs. And while COVID did interrupt it a lot, and so some people might think the comparison isn't fair, Trump was president before COVID happened. And Kamala and Biden, or the Biden-Harris administration, was in power after COVID was deemed no longer a threat. Yeah. So I think if he would just compare and contrast the economy, if he would compare and contrast his views on education, compare and contrast how he thinks sports should go, because nobody wants boys and girls sports. I don't know why they put it all over TV or try to advertise it as if there's just so much support for this, but all the parents that I know, and as a parent myself, I think that boys' sports are boys' sports and girls' sports are girls' sports. And if transgendered individuals feel like they have to pick a side, then why don't we increase the funding for them and create some sports for them? I think that's the only fair way to go about it, because allowing them to play with and against whatever they identify as will always give them an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
So if Trump just ran on policy, just policy and the service, here's what I've already done, here's how I plan to build on it. That's how he can appeal to undecideds. Because right now people are undecided because politics looks like a joke.
Yeah.
It looks like a big stage and everybody's just enjoying the
I was
show.
about to ask you that. Do you think like right now people are running on narratives and clickbait and
Absolutely.
like and sound bites on both sides?
Absolutely. I'm only here because of clickbait, sir.
Yeah.
The only reason why y'all know me is because I said something about Mrs. Willie Brown. If I cut that part out of my speech and literally, because every other part of the speech nobody heard, how I talked about medical freedoms, how I talked about boys playing in girls sports, how I talked about how just here in Georgia, inflation is costing us an extra $1,060 a month. Like, nobody paid attention to those facts and statistics that were also included in the speech. They only paid attention to the moment where I said, ask Mrs. Willie Brown about black families.
Yeah. Okay. What did you think about Kamala's rally where she had Megan performing?
I think that she knew exactly what to do to fill a room, and that's what she did. I think that I think whoever is on her strategy team, and this goes on both sides, are severely misguided when it comes to how to connect to the youth. Because while, yes, Megan is a great performer, I surely listen to her music. What? Tall girls, what? I call myself a stallion, okay? I was the real one before her.
Michaela the
Stallion?
Stallion?
Yes.
She is tall now, y'all.
Yeah, 5'9", baby. 5'9" and real fine.
Yeah.
But I think that the song selection, unfortunately, I think Kamala would have done better if she got a singer, and that singer could have covered just some songs that were more appropriate.
For sure.
Megan getting up there, and then with the stories about how Kamala Harris got her start, talking about being in the mall with somebody daddy, and putting your legs behind his head, and now he loves talk. Like, these things are not supposed to be at a political rally.
Do you think like what Amber Rose and Hulk Hogan did at the RNC was comparable?
Amber Rose didn't get up there and promote anything promiscuous, and Hulk Hogan didn't either.
No, I mean just the spectacle of it.
There's one thing for you to have that surrounding you. Megan Thee Stallion could have spoke at the rally and spoken on her being a black woman, graduating from an HBCU, creating success for herself, and her identifying with Kamala Harris because she shares a similar story.
Yeah.
But instead, Megan got up there and did what? Talked about popping pussy and, getting your daddy to spend all his money on her.
Yeah.
Which is fine, when we're at the club. But that's not fine when we're on the campaign trail.
I think that's a part of capturing the audience, though. Like how he had.
That's not how you should capture the audience.
It's debatable. I mean, if you want to go from person to person to ask, some people think you want to capture as many people as possible, however possible. Again, that's why I say it's debatable, because we're never going to agree on how you should capture an audience. Because my approach to a lot of the stuff that I do, I have to say the most outrageous thing possible to get people to pay attention. Other people may disagree. I know what works for me. But I think earlier this week, Trump was on the Aiden Ross stream, right? People want Kamala to go on the Casanat stream. A lot of people that vote for these that are going to be voting in November aren't even old enough to vote because their fans aren't of age to vote, right? But 4 years, who knows? That's all I'm saying.
I think that, of course, appeal to everybody, because the youth, you want them to be interested in politics. You don't want the youth to be interested in politics because they're looking forward to celebrity appearances.
Yeah.
That's all.
You can look forward to celebrity appearances. It's almost like, with a timeshare. Hey, you come here, we're going to let you stay for free or at a discount, but you got to stay and listen to this speech. You feel what I'm saying?
You got to do this 2-hour tour.
Yeah, you got to do this 2-hour tour. Now, while you don't give a damn about this 2-hour tour, you might learn something if you do pay attention. So if you have, let's say, 100 people that tune in because she was on Casanat stream, if she does it, maybe 25, 50 of those, hopefully, walk away with something that they can use. That's 25, 50 more than you had before. So I think not attacking a fan, but attaching yourself to a name and a brand that is popping right now. Aiden Ross, Casanat at the top of their respective games.
The same way he went on Aiden Ross's stream, though, and that appealed to young people, like they had a conversation. Kamala Harris could have had a conversation with her and gotten the same people would come out to see Megan. We love Megan. People will come out to see, I don't know who else is local to Atlanta. They could have brought somebody from Love and Hip Hop. They could have brought literally anybody. I don't really care what it is you do in your personal life. Like, I don't know what Suki Hana necessarily would vote for, but I know what her music says. And even if she brought Suki Hana out, people would have came to see her. So you don't have to like go up there. Like, if we're talking about Black women representation and you're in a room with a Black woman who's vying to be president of the United States, why would you be the other Black woman in the room doing everything that we say we don't want to be represented as? We don't want to be sexualized. We don't want to be the girls that are expected to twerk. We don't want men to feel like they can just come up and violate us. Yet you would promote that on a world stage with somebody who's trying to be a world leader. Well, like, this is who we are, and I feel like you connect best to this audience.
Well, I don't think the people that listen to Meg or Meg supporters want to be over-sexualized. I don't think they want to be assaulted.
Why would you put that on a world stage? That wouldn't, again,
because women like women like
about representation.
Exactly, and women like that exist. There are women, there are educated women,
and they don't act like that at work.
That's her job, though. That's Megan Thee Stallion's job.
Megan Thee Stallion has shown up to plenty of places, like when she went to court and did not do all that.
Of course, because court is not an entertainment arena. But I'm saying
what about politics is supposed to be an entertainment arena?
Donald Trump being on Aiden Ross stream, is that?
I'm saying, what about it is supposed to be entertainment?
Because
politics is not supposed to be entertainment.
Yeah, but the promotion of politics is.
A promotion.
The promotion of politics. When they appear on these platforms, when you go on the Breakfast Club, when you go to concerts, when your name is mentioned at Essence Fest, that is 100% capturing an audience and giving them your platform.
And as you having an audience and being given a platform, you should represent your people in the best way possible. And again, on the world stage, you got a passport. You seem like a well-traveled man. You don't want to go to these other countries and wonder why they have these stereotypes of us. Because when they turn on the TV, that's all they see. Black people need to understand that. Other people who come here are not racist because they think Black men are thugs and Black girls like to get ratchet and have sex all the time. That's all they see. That's all of our music. So when they hear our music, that's what they see. I just came back from Paris, and they all know bow, 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 and Sexy Red. That's the only thing they can ask me. Oh, you're American? You like Sexy Red? And it's like, okay, like, yeah, I do.
Because that's the simplest form of art that can translate to these other cultures.
And unfortunately, the simplest form of art that translates to other cultures, rich, poor, whatever, all we are represented as are thugs and hoes. And that's not okay. And as somebody vying to be president, you wouldn't want that representation on the world stage. It just doesn't go together. As a Black woman trying to get people to take her serious as the next president of the United States,
sure.
Why would you choose and again, if she could have been a singer and just covered some songs that were more appropriate. But Megan literally didn't have one appropriate song to perform there, and nothing about the performance said this should rock the vote. You are voting for these things. Let
me say this. I think what you're saying may or may not be true, but guess what? Those people were already thinking about that. They already looked at Black people that way. They already did.
So why? Okay, so they already looked at us like that.
There was
so
like
why,
we should be okay enough
with continuing to normalize.
We've had enough well-spoken Negroes walk into these places and show you that there's another. We had a Black president a few years ago. We've had a Black man represent the highest form of office. So if that's not going to teach them that Black people are worthy of respect, then we're more than thugs and hoes.
One Black man. Again, I'm telling you.
We've had one. That's one Black man.
Not everybody who you're mentioning in these other countries, while they do watch the news a lot, not all of them are doing that. So we're looking at how we're represented overall. Art is the easiest translated form of communication. In which case, if all of our art forms going to these other countries are us killing each other and us being hoes, then we cannot blame them for thinking that way. That's not, Obama couldn't save that. He was one man. So to them, Obama was the anomaly. Us over here, we know there's more Obamas than there are Sexy Reds. But it's on us then to make sure the rest of the world knows that we have more Obamas than we do Sexy Reds.
We've already shown them that.
And so you cannot be Kamala Harris and get on stage with a Sexy Red counterpart and be like, hey, still take us serious as these super.
But Donald Trump can align himself with Lil Pump and Kodak.
Donald Trump is Donald Trump. When are we gonna?
What?
Donald Trump is Donald Trump. A rich white man and a Black woman have different life experiences and different plights. Just women, period, have a different experience when climbing the corporate ladder. Women, period, have to move differently when climbing the corporate ladder. Women, look at this. Kamala Harris suits are never too tight. because she doesn't want to be sexualized. Kamala Harris's heels are never too high because she doesn't want to be sexualized. Kamala Harris doesn't do her hair too long because she doesn't want to be sexualized. So why in the world would you go and make sure that your appearance is what something black women can be proud of? But then you would align yourself with the very thing a lot of black women over the age of 25, most black women over the age of 25 do not want to be looked at as a Megan Thee Stallion.
But guess what?
Or as a sexy
there are
red.
women Megan's age, younger and older, that exist in the same realm that Megan Thee Stallion exists. And for them,
what's
that
realm?
was
Megan Thee Stallion is a college-educated woman.
Exactly, who likes to get lit and have fun. So when those people
All of us like to get lit and have fun. I like to get lit and have fun, but you didn't see me get lit and have fun on the stage.
Yeah, because that wasn't your role in that current moment.
Who said it wasn't? So you mean to tell me if they told me to twerk, you think I would go do it? Because I think that would translate as a great message to the audience.
This is our first time. This is our first time having a conversation.
Megan doesn't have to twerk as a part of her job.
In that moment,
she
it was
literally does not have to.
In that moment, she was booked as a performer, so she gave a performance.
And you can do it. And when she performs at high schools, she does not twerk. So where was that 1, 2, 8 count?
I've never seen Megan perform at a high school. I don't think that's
coming up. She was not always doing that, and yeah, she's performed at I guess events catered.
But
to
I've seen artists that will go into a high school and keep that same stage presence. What I'm saying though
that's
is
on the high school, and watch how all the parents complain. Like, why did you allow this at my child's school?
I've seen it.
So if the parents will complain about having it at the school, then why, as a nation, will we not complain about having that?
And
on
you
a
have a right,
stage?
but you have a right to complain. I never said I was a fan of it, but I said
about love and hip hop, and we hate how love and hip hop is a horrible representation of us as black women, of us as black people.
It absolutely is. But I look at love and hip hop as empty calories. It don't mean it don't mean shit.
The rest of the world doesn't, though. The rest of the world thinks that that's how black people really are.
Well, if you can look at the black politicians that we've had
in this type of degeneracy.
Because people like that exist. We promote everything. That just catches easier.
More people like Obama exist. Where's their reality show?
As a member of
people like me exist. Where's my reality show?
I'm gonna give you one. But as a member of the media, I know what people stick to more. At this other spot I used to work at, that we dropped a piece about a community engagement and celebrity gossip the same day. Guess what got more interaction?
Of course the gossip's going to get more. Negativity drives people. But does that mean that you should live a life in which you promote negativity? Is that your calling from God, to promote negativity? No. So just because that's what's popular, that doesn't mean that that's what you have to do. What makes you the most money isn't always the righteous thing to do. You could die tomorrow and you're going to tell God, look, God, sorry, I couldn't promote the positivity because it wasn't getting me enough likes.
No. Absolutely wrong, because I'm in the school systems as well. If all they see is the negativity, then they're not paying attention, and then that brings me back to another point that I made, that they already wanted to see me like that.
All we do is support negativity, though. Let me not say y'all, but as many people who should support artists like J. Cole or Rhapsody or Tierra Whack, whatever, they don't. But we support the Megan Thee Stallions, the Young Thugs, the Sexy Reds, and their music is great. We're not going to deny their talent. But in regards to who we want to represent us on a national stage, whose streams do we hope get billions of worldly views? It should be these artists who promote positivity within the community and over artists who promote that we kill each other and abort all of our babies. Like, I don't see anything wrong with having a problem with that, and acting like I have to normalize it because it's already the status quo, to me, is also detrimental. Because at what point do you not want better? At what point do you not advocate for change?
Michaela, is this going to be our only time talking?
No.
Okay, I need you back because I got to get this studio up. But listen, give me your socials so we can because listen, I haven't even cracked the surface with you.
I tried to tell them, man.
I ain't even cracked this. You on live?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tell the folks follow the Beat ATL at the Beat ATL at the Big Homie's house.
Where is it written out?
No, it's right behind you. Right behind you. But yes, give me your social so we can get up on. But I just wanted you to know this is not gonna be the last time.
Nah,
because we're going at it.
Okay, but this is good conversation, and if nothing else, the people need to see that you and I didn't agree on everything. We didn't yell at each other. There were no personal attacks. There was no need for it.
Yeah,
you were able to lay out your facts. I was able to lay out mine. We was able to get through all of our topics. Like, that's what I promote.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, if y'all don't get nothing else, okay, I'm not trying to turn y'all or make y'all something that y'all not. I just want you guys to have the information.
I am. Vote for Kamala.
Trump 2024. Okay, we finna make America great. All right?
Hey, give me your socials.
I am Michaela Montgomery. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, or X at Miss Kayla Baby. That's MISSKAYLAABABII. Yeah, y'all go ahead and hit me up. We can talk. I'll do events and all that other stuff.
It's not the last time she's gonna be here. We just in a rush today, but yeah, we gonna be it. Let's go. 96.1 The Beat. Yeah.